everybody. So in today's video we are going to make pumpkin scones. I actually made this recipe last week for my family and my daughter loved it so much she asked me to make it again this week. So I figured I would film it for you. So that's what we're doing in today's video. Okay, so to start we need 2.5 cups of flour. Put them right in the bowl here. 2.5. I'm going to add just a tiny bit more because my pumpkin's a little liquidy. And then we need 1/2 cup of brown sugar. This recipe is delicious. I tasted it last week, a couple weeks ago, somewhere in there, when I made it, and it was really good. Okay, then we need baking powder. What did I do with it? Oh, it's over here. Baking powder. And we need 1 tablespoon. I have my oven preheated to 350 degrees right now. So 1 whole tablespoon. We need some salt, about 1/2 teaspoon. Teaspoon. Now this is the part where I varied the recipe a little bit and I'm very happy that I did. So the pumpkin pie spice and the cinnamon, I put an extra teaspoon of each. So the pumpkin pie spice and the cinnamon, you both need 2 teaspoons. I put in 3 and they were perfect. I find a lot of recipes don't put enough spice in, especially when it comes to pumpkin pie or cinnamon. Pumpkin pie spice or cinnamon. If you want to make it exactly like the recipe, that's up to you. 3. And then we're going to add some, actually we'll add the vanilla last. So now we just need the butter. So let's mix this up a little bit. Okay. Okay, so for the butter, we need cold butter. I just took this out of the fridge. And we need about 1/2 cup. So the last time I made this, I found them to be a tiny bit buttery, so I'm going to do just a sliver less. So 1/2 cup is half of this, so I'm going to go just a tiny bit less. I found them to be a little oily, just a little bit, but other than that, they were delicious. So I'm just chopping this into little chunks so it's easier to break up. All melted together. Okay. So I was going to chop it on this plate. I didn't end up doing that. So I'm going to you can use your hands or you can use a pastry cutter. So I'm going to try this with my hands for a minute here. You want the butter to be super cold. It gives the scones a really good texture. You're looking for pea-sized bits of butter, just like you would with pie dough. Okay, I'm going to use this. It tends to break it up a little faster. So keep in mind the recipe says that this recipe, the dough is supposed to be sticky. So I know from last time how sticky I had it. So we'll see. it turned out perfectly. They were nice and moist inside. That's the one thing I really loved about this recipe. And the flavor was really good. Okay, so that looks about right. Pea-sized pieces. Okay, now we need to add the liquid. So we're going to add about 1/3 of a cup of milk. You can also use buttermilk, it says. So pour that right in. The vanilla, we need about a teaspoon. And for the pumpkin, you need about, let me see here, 3/4 of a cup. Last time I ended up using the entire package that I thawed because it was really super close to the amount. Once it's been strained, it's actually quite a bit. Yes. And add all that in. Okay, now let's mix this together. Okay, so I cleaned some stuff up here. Now let's mix this. So we're going to mix this a bit. We don't want to overwork the dough, but we want to make sure it's somewhat combined before we dump it out here. Okay, so let's dump this out and we'll finish mixing it on the counter here. Remember, this dough is supposed to be sticky. I did add a tiny bit extra flour, probably about an extra 1/4 of a cup, to compensate for the amount of pumpkin puree that I have, and that my pumpkin puree is a little liquidy. This is perfect. This is exactly how it was last time, where you can see the chunks of butter in it. Okay, so we're going to put it into a disc like that. Just make it look nice so the edges are nice. Okay, let me wash my hands a little bit and then I'll be right back. Okay, now that I got my hands a little bit more clean so they're not sticky, we're going to cut this into 8 pieces. That. Let me see how much I put on. I'm pretty sure these were, I actually think I might have the oven a little too low. Let me look. I do, yes. It's supposed to be baked at 425 for, it says 13 to 15 minutes. But I remember the last time I made these, they needed to be baked for probably about 16 to 17. So keep that in mind. Let me get a knife. So that's what they look like. You just space them out on your pan here. So in the recipe it says you can put a milk wash on top. I did not do that last time and they turned out fabulous. so I'm not going to do that again, but in the recipe it does say you can do that, so that's optional. Oh, bottom of that one fell off. Here we go. So most scone dough isn't this sticky, so please keep that in mind. This one turns out perfectly though. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to wait for my oven to finish preheating, and then I'm going to put these in the oven and bake them for probably about 17 minutes. And this is the area where you would put the milk wash on if you wanted. We're going to make the drizzle that goes on top of this while these are baking. So for the vanilla topping, I'm going to use about half a cup of icing sugar. And then I'm going to add a generous amount of vanilla, probably about a teaspoon to maybe a teaspoon and a half. This is going to go on top of the scones after they cool. And then we're going to put about a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of heavy cream. You can also use milk. In the recipe it says you can use cinnamon in this. I actually really liked it with just vanilla. Especially since it's already heavily got a lot of cinnamon on the inside. So you're just going to mix it up. You need a little bit more cream. You want this to be more of a glazed texture. I find heavy cream gives it a really nice flavor compared to milk, but this can totally be done with milk. There we go. It's beginning to get the right texture. Just make sure you get all the lumps out. And it should look like this. Like that. Okay, so we're just going to set this aside. It's got a nice like tan color to it from the vanilla. So we're going to set this aside and we're going to wait for the scones to finish baking. And then we're going to let them cool for probably about 10 or 15 minutes, and then we'll drizzle this on top of them. You can have the scones without them as well, but this adds just a little extra something to the scone. Okay, so I will be back once the scones are done and cooled. Okay, so this is what they look like. They just came out of the oven. Look nice and good. A little bit golden brown. Okay, so let's put the drizzle on top. So all you're going to do is just drizzle it like this. Try and make it look nice. Like I said before, you can do this without, but it does taste better with it. It adds a little extra something to it. No, that one was more of a glob. There we go. So that is the pumpkin scone recipe. It's delicious. I hope you guys all try it. It's become a favorite in my family. I would like to thank everybody for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.